Hello, good afternoon. Now, this video I'm going to help you to understand everything that you need to know about algebraic expressions. So, I'm going to help you in such a way that you yourself you will know how to add, how to subtract or algebraic terms together, from each other. You'll be able to do it. So, this lesson will cover every concept in algebra. We're going to look at how to add to algebraic expressions or terms, how to subtract, how to multiply, and as well as how to divide. So I'm going to cover it even though until fraction. We're going to look at fraction as well. This series, it will be the first series of the algebraic simplification, concept. So let's get started. Here is what we're going to focus on in today's lesson. So I'm going to navigate this stuff slightly up. So let's put it there. Now, the first thing that I would like to talk about is like times and unlike times. What are unlike times and what are like times? So I'm going to make a table now. So you're going to see the table on the screen where I'm going to talk about like times and unlike times. So here is the table. I'm going to put it here. So you can see that we have like times and unlike times. So now, what are like times and what are unlike times? Like times, before we talk about like times, indeed, let's talk about the word like. This object is like this object here, that is, they resemble each other, that is, they have some similarities. We can compare these two objects because they are really the same. So like is something like a similar. What is unlike? Unlike mean that is they do not resemble each other, so they have no similarity. In this case, we're talking about terms. What are terms in maths? How do we classify this term, or how do we describe it? Everything that is using maths other than the operations are called term. So this is term, S is term, 2 is term, K is term, Y is term. These that are here are called terms in maths. So you need to be aware of that. So that is the basic introductions to like and times, also to unlike. So that is what you need to know there. So I'm going to get rid of this stuff that's on the screen so that we can explain what we've been explaining very deeply and very quickly. So let me clear it off. So now let's talk in detail about the like times. So S and S both are the same letters. So because they are the same letters, you can add them together. So you can say that S plus S is 2S. S and S are therefore like times. So because you can add them together and because they are the same letters. What about S and Y? S and Y are not like times because they are not like times, so they called unlike times here. So therefore you cannot add S and Y together. So before this, during this lesson, I'm also going to give you the illustrations in that will help you to understand the like times and unlike times, which we'll be talking about. So K and Y, they are not like times, but K and K are like times. What about P and X? P and S are not like times because you cannot add them together, you cannot separate them from each other. So that's it. But what about 2 and 3? Are these two numbers like times, or what do you say? Yes, they are like times because you can add them together. 2 and X are not like times. You cannot say 2 plus S is 2S because they are not like times. So that is wrong. Now let's talk more about this. So let me clear out this thought that's right here in order to make space. So now let's look at pencils. Now these are 3 pencils. In maths, you can simply say there are 3P there, that is 3P. Or on this side now, I'm going to talk about the unlike times. This pencil now in maths is denoted with P because there are 3 here. You can say there are 3P, 3 pencils. But for this one, let's look at another picture. Let's draw pencil. Let's draw another pencil here. So then draw another pencil here. So you need to focus on what I'm doing here. So let me draw houses. So here is another houses. This. So here is another one. Now, let's say you are asked that how many objects that are on this section. What will you say? Now, will you say 7 houses, or will you say 7 pens or pencils? Let me do that again. Pencils. Or will you say 7 houses, pencils? What will you say? Now, if you say 7 houses, are we going to talk about the object that are there are only houses? Or if you say 7 pencils, are they only pencils there? Are they not houses there? So we cannot say 7 houses or 7 pencils. If we cannot say that, can we say 7 houses, pencils? Can we say this? No, we cannot either say 7 houses, pencils, because there are houses and there are pencils. So what should we say now, sortably? We can say, let me clean that's over here. We can say 7, let me change that color. So we can say 7 houses and, sorry, I made a mistake here. So I'm going to clean it. We can say 3 pencils and 4 houses. So that is just write the spelling of houses this way, but I would like you to bear with me. Houses. So we can say something like this. Now if we say something like this, that will be correct. If we say 3 pencils and 4 houses, that is going to be correct. But we cannot say 3 pencils, 4 houses. We can say that. And we need to know that this and connects the houses and these pencils. So Now, it's a point to understand that pencils is denoted in mass as P, and houses in mass is denoted as H. So we cannot therefore say that we cannot therefore say that P plus H is PH. So because this is pencil and this is house, so therefore we can say that P plus H is the same thing as P plus H. So we give you P plus H. So that is P and H, that is pencil and houses. So let me clear up some stuff here. So let's continue now. Pencils are non-like terms with houses in mass. So you can count these pencils together and simply say 3 pencils, but you cannot say 7 houses pencils. So that won't be sensible. So let me get rid of this stuff. Now, hopefully this introduction has helped you to understand like terms slightly and non-like terms slightly. So we can say 3 pencils and 4 houses in this section here. So, but we can count these together. We can simply say that, for example, let's say that I draw one more. So we can say, let's say here is another pencil here. Here's another one here. Here's another one here. So here, let's say here is another one here. How many pencils are there now? How many pencils are here? What will you see? So there are 7 pencils. So in maths, you can simply say that 7 pencils is 7p. So that is correct to count everything here together because they are like times, they are the same. So let's continue about talking about like times and unlike times. So let's say that you have x, or let me use the p and h, b and p. You can say that there are 2 p's there. That is, there are 2 pencils. But what about p? That is pencil and house. You will say there are 1 pencil and that is plus there. But you see plus sign, that is the meaning of and 1 house. So this is what you should write down. So don't write it as PH or HP. That is house and pens. That is wrong basically. You need to avoid this mistake. So now let's continue about this stuff. So I like to write, let's say you have H and H. How many H variables that are there? There's something called variables. If you ever heard this before, you should know it now. Variables are letters that are used in maths. Something like S, K, M, U, V. Any letters that are used in maths are called variables. So this can be called variables because they can be used as a letter in maths. So that's why it's called algebraic expression. So this, what you see here, are the variables used in maths. So you need to be careful of what we're doing here in order to know everything that I'm teaching you in this lesson. So let me get rid of variable and everything that is here. So now we know that h plus h, it will give you 2h, that is 2 houses, and we know that h plus h plus h, it will give you 3h, that is 3 houses. So what about c plus c plus c plus c? What this will give you? So it will give you how many c's? How many c's are here? So there are 4 c's. So you should get right 4c. So c plus c plus c plus c it should give you 4c. So you need to keep this in mind, that they are like times because they are the same, they are like each other. But what about c plus h plus p? So when you see something like this, they are called unlike times, because this is c and this is h, and h is not as c. So h and p, they are not the same either. So these three letters here are called unlike times because they cannot be added together. So if you want to write the answer, you can simply write it as c plus h plus p. So this is the answer. It's because you cannot add them together. Now for everything I'm teaching here, you need to put something down. What about 2 plus 5? Are they like times? Yes, 2 plus 5 is 7. By the way, we're going to talk more about how 2 plus 5 becomes 7, and we're going to look at it, how you can maybe in this video and in this series. It may not be in this video, but it will be in the series of the video. So let's continue. So what about 8 plus 9? Are they like times? Yes. So 8 plus 9 is 17. But what about 8 plus s? Now this is a letter here and this is a number. So they are not like times. You can simply write it as 8 plus s as your answer. Likewise, you can write it as s plus 8. Now we're going to talk more about this, but we're simply talking about like times and unlike times. So this, you can simply leave it at it because they are not like times. So what about s plus 8 plus 2 plus x? How many terms that are like times here? So if you recall what I've just taught you, that s and s are like times and 8 and 2 are like times. So you can simply add 8 and s together because they are like times, and add s and s together because they are like times. If you want to solve this problem, you can simply write it as s plus s. When you see s plus s, that is 1s plus 1s, it will give you 2s plus sign, and 8 plus 2 is 10. By the way, we're going to talk more about this stuff in our next subsequent discussion. Now consider this. What is s plus s plus s plus s? What is will be the answer? That is 1s plus 1s plus 1s plus 1s. So it give you, there are 2 to 4s there. So it give you 4s. So what is 4s plus 5s plus, let's say plus 3s? What this is going to give you? Now technically 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So it's 12s. So everything here becomes 12s because they are like times. But what about 4s plus 7y? Let's talk about this. There's something called coefficient. What is coefficient? Coefficient is a number that is multiplied to a letter, a mass. So for example, in 4s, there is a coefficient here which is 4. In 7y, there's a coefficient here which is 7. So the coefficient is this number that is multiplied to the to the letters that are in there. So to s and to y. So these numbers 4 and 7 that are multiplied to to these two letters are called their coefficients. So what is the coefficient of 23k? In 23k, the coefficient is 23 because it's that is the number that is multiplied to this k. Now let's talk more about this 23k. 23k simply means 23 times k. There is an invisible sign that connects 23 and k together, which is the sign that you see here. So this sign connects the 23 and k together, and so that's why that I say that the number that is multiplied to a variable is called the coefficient of the variable. So 23 that is multiplied to this k is called the coefficient of that k. So now, what about 15m? Where is the coefficient? Coefficient is this 15 that is multiplied to this m. If you are asked that what is the relationship between m and 20 and 15, it's multiplication. That is, what is the link between these two terms, 15 and m? The link is multiplication. That is the link that between the two terms, 15 and m. So it terms this as 15 times m. So therefore, the question that we're talking about is what now? Is 15. What is the coefficient of, let's say, 100 mx, 100 ms, because you can see something like this also in mass. So where is the coefficient? A coefficient, we know that is a number that is multiplied to that ms, which is 100. So in this case, when you are asked, if you ask that where is the coefficient, simply the coefficient is equals to 100. So I represent this C with coefficient, with the coefficient here. So you know what coefficient is now. Coefficient of ms is 100. So don't forget this. So what is the coefficient of, let's say, 187 skd? What is the coefficient here? What number that is multiplied to skd? So the coefficient here is 187. So the coefficient in this situation is 187 if you are asked to do it. So don't forget what's this coefficient when you see it. So now I hope that you have understood what coefficient is and what like times and unlike times is. So now, after we have done some review on this stuff, we can go ahead and talk about something practical. So maybe let me remove it. So let's do something now. Let's get rid of this like times and unlike times table. So let me get rid of it. So let me remove it, and let's talk about, let's take this as number 1. Let's say we have 2s plus 5 minus x. 2s plus 5 minus x is what? There is something called collect like times. Now, which you need to bring in when you want to solve this problem. What is collect? How do we do this stuff, collect like time? So how do we collect like times? To collect like times is to bring together those terms that can be added together and that can be separated from each other. So for example, in this situation, 2s and minus s are like times. So you want to bring them closer to each other. So you want to write them as 2s minus s plus 5. So you want to bring this minus s closer to where the plus 2s is. So you should get something like this. So so what is 2s minus s? 2s minus s is basically s. So it's going to be s plus 5. So this is the answer. So let's look at another one. Let's say we have 7y plus 8 minus 2y plus 6. How do we do this one? Now have a look at what I wrote on this screen over here. You see that we need to collect like terms in this expression. So the like terms are 7y and minus 2y. Minus 2y and 7y are like terms, and plus 8 and plus 6 are like terms because both are numbers, but these are the same letters, so you can add them together. So let's do it. So it should be 7y minus 2y plus 8, put it in front of it, plus 6. So 7 minus 2y is 5y, and then 8 minus 6, sorry, 8 plus 6 is 14. So the answer is 5y plus 14. So that is the answer. So here is the answer of the first one. So let me give you another one. Let's say you have 20 minus k plus 15 minus 3k. So how do we do this one? To do it, you want to bring in the like terms, that it wants to collect those like terms together, those terms that can be added together, like this minus k and this minus 3k are like terms, and the 20 and 15 are also like terms. So simplify it as 20 plus 15, bring 15 close to 20 plus 15 minus k, then minus 3k. So now, what is 20 plus 15? 20 plus 15 is 35. Then what is minus k minus 3k? Minus 4k. Minus k has a coefficient of 1. Then the coefficient is 1. And the coefficient is written behind this k. So it's always 1. But you don't see a coefficient, which is the number that is multiplied to a term behind the term, you should know that the coefficient is always 1. Any invisible coefficient is 1 for any term. For example, let's say m. What is the coefficient of this m? The coefficient of the m is 1. So m is the same thing as 1m. So just keep this concept in mind. So don't forget it, that m and 1m is the same. So what about f and minus f? What is the coefficient of this f here? The coefficient of the f here is 1. The coefficient of this minus f here is minus 1. So the coefficient is minus 1 because you may be tested here. So this one is 1 and this one is minus 1. But let's talk more about this one here. So when you see 1 and plus 1 are also the same. This one, this plus 1 and this one here are the same in mass, because if you write 1 and if you don't see a sign, any sign in front of it, because every number has its own sign, it can be either positive number or negative number. You're going to know this, understand this using a number line. So let me use a number line to teach you this stuff. So let's say that you have a number line. On a number line, we have 0. On your right, there are positive numbers. So those are plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. On your left, so you can have negative numbers, -1, -2, -3. So it goes forever. So these numbers here go forever. It goes to infinity. This one also goes forever. So now, what am I talking here? That I said that number cannot be neutral. Only 0 is neutral. And 0 is basically number that is basically non-counted or not significant. But other numbers other than 0 are always with a with a sign. It can be either positive number or negative number. So that is it. Number line tells you that every number has its own sign that is associated with it. So it can be either positive or negative. So that's what you need to know about numbers. So now, this is the answer for what we've just done. So that is it. It's 35 minus 4k. Now let's try another one. Let's see that we have minus 6f minus 3 plus 7f minus, let's say, plus 5. How do we do this one now? Now to do this one, you want to know that there are how many like terms that are here. So there are 2. So we have minus 6y, also we have plus 7y. So those are like terms. Let me highlight them to you in different color. So those terms that are highlighted differently are like terms. So this one also are like terms. So you want to add them together and separate them from each other. So now, what is minus 6y plus 7y? So technically, we can also do it like this: minus 6f, sorry, f, it's f, not y. Minus 6f plus 7f. Then minus 3 here. Then plus 5. So you see that you need to rearrange it. The rearrangement of the expression is called collect like terms. So what is minus 6f plus 7f? You can see that this 7 is bigger than this 6 here, and the sign that this 7 has is positive sign. Is positive sign here. So you need to write the sign positive sign because 7 is bigger than 6. Because the 7 is bigger than 6, you want to write the sign for the 7 down and subtract. You will subtract because these two signs, plus and minus, are not the same. If they are not the same, you will subtract 6 from 7. 6 minus 7 is 1. So it's 1f. But for 1f, don't write 1f, so simply write it as f. By the way, for this plus, you don't need to write that plus now down. Simply write it as f. So simply write it as f, not plus f. Plus f and f are the same. But if you want to be, considered to be good in maths, you don't need to write something that is basically not significant or something that you really don't need to write. Simply write f. F and 1f is the same thing. You subtract because of these two signs are not the same, and you choose one among the two signs. You choose the one that is in front of the bigger term, which is this 7f. This is the sign that he has, but you choose it, and I've written it down. But basically, we don't need to write it down because of, if we write it down, it's the same thing as if we don't write it down. So what is minus 3 plus 5? Minus 3 plus 5 is, let me write it here. Which is bigger than among these two numbers? Which is greater than? Is it 5 or 3? Now 5 is bigger than 3, and the sign that the 5 has is plus sign. So once you write the plus sign down here in front, then you will subtract 3 from 5. 3 subtracted from 5, you give you 2. So this is the plus 2. Now the reason why you are going to write this plus 2 is because it's in between, because this 2 is in front of the number, not behind the number, not at the beginning of the expression. So you should write 2. So that this sign here will be between the 2 and f. So that's why you should write 2. And that's why you should write the the sign. So this is the answer now. The answer is f plus 2 for the simplification of everything you see is of everything. Minus 6f minus 3 plus 7f plus 5. So you have f plus 2. So now I hope that you are following me in this stuff of algebraic simplification. Now we're going to continue and talk about something more complex. Now I want to move this everything that is on the screen. I want to navigate it up. So now you need to pay attention to everything I'm doing here. I'm navigating it. So now let's look at something that are more challenges in algebraic simplification. Let's say we have 2s plus 3 minus y minus 4x plus 7 plus 10y minus, let's say minus 4x. So let's look at this one together. So how can we get the exact simplification value of what you see here? How can we do it? Now the first thing is to rearrange the expression. You want to rearrange it in such a way that the like terms will be grouped together with its like terms, and the unlike terms will be grouped separately from like terms. So before we start, let's figure out what are the like terms and what are the unlike terms. So 2s minus 4s minus 4s are like terms, plus 3 plus 7 are like terms either, and minus y and plus 10y are also like terms because you can also separate them from each other. So what we're going to do here is we want to group these 2s minus 4s and minus 4s together. So now we should have 2x minus, bring this minus y's close to this 2s, so it should be minus 4s, and also bring this minus 4s, bring it here, minus 4s. Then now plus 3, put it in front, then plus 4, sorry, plus 7, it is in plus 4. Then go to y now, minus y, then go to plus 10y, plus 10y. So how can we do this one? So let's start with this plus and minus 4s minus 4s. So let me write it here. Minus 4s minus 4s, it will be what? It's minus 8s. I've taught you this before. So that is, you are going to choose one among these two signs because they are the same. You write it down, then you add the terms. Anything that is in them together, you add them together. So it will give you minus 8s. So minus 3 minus 7 is what? The two signs are the same, so you're going to choose one among them, write it down, then you are going to add the numbers that are in them together. 3 and 7 together, you give 10. So that is why you see we're using minus 10 minus 2 minus 7 minus 1. How can we do this one? So because the signs that are here are the same. So you want to choose one among them, write it down, then write 10 plus 2 plus 7 and plus 1. 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 plus 7 is 19, and 19 plus 1 is 20. So you should get minus 20 for everything that is here. So that's it. So they see that is if the signs are the same, you choose one and add, you choose one and write it down and add the numbers that are in them together. So that's the word about that. So it tells you that when you see minus 3y, minus 7y, minus let's say minus 8y. So how can we do this one? Let me clear up this stuff here. How can we do this one? Let me bring it down. So to do it, you should know that first, these signs that are here are the same, negative signs. Because the signs are the same, you want to choose one, then maybe place, I'm sorry for this, let me put it down slightly. So you want to choose one among the signs, minus, minus, minus. So you choose one among them, write it down, then you add 3 plus 7 plus 8. So 3 plus 7 is 10, and 10 plus 8 is 18. So simply put one of the y's in front of it. So it's minus 18y, so that is the answer. So let me clear off it. Let me clear these things off. So now, going back to what we were talking about. So you see that minus 4s and minus 4s has to be minus 8s because the two negative signs are the same, minus and minus. So you choose one and I wrote it here, and you add 4 and 4 together. Even though the signs are negative signs, you still need to add the numbers together if the signs are the same. So therefore, keep in mind that we have a minus, we have a minus 8 for what you see here. So therefore, let me clear off what you see here, and then let's continue. So now, minus 4, 8, minus 8, so 2s minus 8s. But what can we do here? Plus 3 plus 7. Can you see that the two signs are the same? Yes, they are the same. Choose one among the two signs because the signs are the same. Write it down, then add 3 and 7 together. So 3 plus 7 is 10. So the same is true when you see minus 3 minus 7. So don't forget this. You should get minus 10 because the signs are the same. So you should get minus 10 because you are going to choose the one among the two signs. Then write it down in front of your answer. Then add the numbers that are in them together. So to give you minus 10. So just keep that in mind. So therefore, 3 plus 3 plus 7, 8 plus 10. Because we're going to choose one among these signs. So that's it. What about this one? Minus y plus 10y. What is going to become? Now, can you see that the signs now are not the same as opposed to how the signs were before in this what we wrote here? These signs are not the same. So, and you want to look for the term that is greater than among the two terms, bigger than. This term is bigger than the term here. Plus 10y is bigger than minus 1. I mean, it's bigger than 1. The coefficient of this y is 1. So you are going to write the sign that this 10 has plus, you write it down. Then you want to subtract. If the signs are not the same, like minus and plus, you will subtract. Like plus and minus, you will subtract. If the signs are not the same, you will subtract. So, but if the signs are the same, like minus and minus, or plus and plus, you will add. So you want to keep everything here in mind, that if the signs are the same, you will add. If the signs are not the same, you will subtract. So now, this we're going to subtract 1 that is here, because invisible 1 from 10. 1 minus 10 is 9, so you should get plus 9y. So put your plus 9y here. Then get rid of what is here. Then let's continue. So what is 2s? Because 2s and 8s are also like times. So what is 2s minus 8s? 2s minus 8s is going to be minus 6s. Why? Because you can simply write 2s minus 8s as plus 2s minus 8s. Because in maths, there is an invisible sign that is in front of these 2s. So if you don't see any sign there, it's always a plus. It's always plus sign. So therefore, you can write it as the plus 2s minus 8s. And these two signs now, you can see that they are not the same. Plus and plus sign are not the same. So you want to choose one among the two signs. But before you choose one, you want to know the one you choose. You want to choose the one that has the bigger value. 8s is bigger than plus 2s. 2 is less than 8. That's when it's on there. So don't think of whether it's a minus sign or plus sign. Just think of if the quotient is bigger than the other, that which has the bigger quotient we are going to write down. And so 8 is bigger than 2. So the sign that this 8 has is the minus sign. So write it down here. Then subtract 2 from 8. 2 minus 8 is 6. So to get 6s. So what you are going to replace these 2s minus 8s with is minus 6s. Then you can get rid of this stuff here. So sorry. So now let's continue. So now 2s minus 8s becomes minus 6s. What's this will become? Plus 10 plus 9y. This plus 10 and 9y are not like times. So you cannot add them together. So you cannot say plus 10 plus 9y is plus 19y. That is wrong. So you cannot say it. So you must not say something like this. If you say it, you are going to get wrong answer. So just keep in mind that these two terms are not like times. So you can simply write them just as they are. Plus 10 plus 9y. So now our final answer is minus 6s plus 10 plus 9y. So that's the final answer for everything that is here. So you see that what we did was collect like times. We collected the like times, we arranged the, basically we arranged the expression, and after we arrange the expression, we collected like times. You see that 2s and minus 4s and minus 4s are like times. Also plus 3 and plus 7 are like times. Also minus y and plus 10y are also like times. So we arrange them and we group them together. Those like times and those that are unlike times. So that is it for the fourth examples. I hope that you've got the good grasp of what we're talking about in algebraic simplification. Now I'm going to give you the fifth example before I give you some exercises to see if you have understood what we mean by collect like times and basically what we mean by algebraic simplification. So let's go to the number 5. Now let's look at number 5. So we're going to look at this number 5 and it's going to be a little bit challenging. So let's get into it. So here is number 5 here. So let's say we have 6s plus 9 minus 7m plus 15 minus k plus 9s minus 8m plus 7k plus s plus 10. How do we do this now? So the first thing that we need to do is to group those like times. So you can see that 6s is like time with 9s, that is plus 9s, also with x. So you can group those terms together. 9 is like times with 15, and it's like time with not the number, sorry, it's like time with plus 10. So you can group those together. M minus 7m, and where's the other m, and minus 8m. So these are also like times, so you need to group them, close to each other. So let's start. So now we will have 6s, where's other s, plus 9s, where's other here we have, so here's another s, plus s, so and the number plus 9 and plus 15, and other number we have is plus 10. So we are left with m now, minus 7m, then minus 8m. So let's do it now. Now let's focus on these first 3 terms, and let me write it out here. 6s plus 9s plus s. Now, because the signs that these 3 terms have are the same, so you want to choose one because it's the same thing as plus 6s plus 9s plus s, and you're going to choose one among the signs. Then you will write it down. Then you will add 6, 9, and 1, because this s has a quotient of 1 in front of it. So you want to add the quotients together. 6 plus 9 is 15, and 15 plus the 1 is 16. So now you need to put s in front of it. So you should have 16. Let me do it again. 16x for everything that you see here. So 16s, but that 16s is plus 16s, even though I don't write the plus sign, but I'm not going to write the plus sign. It will be 16s because this is the 16s is the beginning number, is the first term. So let me clear off stuff here. So now let's focus on this section now. So you want to focus on the section where we have numbers only. So you want to focus on this section. So now I'm going to write it out as plus 9 plus 15 plus 10. You can also see that the signs are the same. So because the signs are the same, you can choose one among them, choose one among the signs, then add 9 plus 15 plus 10 together. 9 plus 15 is 24, and 24 plus 10 is 34. So you should get 34 for the whole numbers. So plus 34, put it here. And let me clear all this stuff. So now, for this one now, bring it out. So bring it out. Bring minus 7m minus 8m. So bring it out, and let's talk about it. Minus 7m minus 8m. Because the signs are also the same here. So you want to choose one, write it in front of your equal to sign. Then you add 7 and 8 together to give you 15. So therefore minus 7m minus 8m is minus 15. But what if it is minus 7m plus 8m. If it was something like this, what will you do? Will you add them? Will you just choose any signs that you like? No, you will not choose it just as you choose it when the signs were the same. If the signs are not the same, here's what you do. 8 is bigger than 7. You don't want to look for the, you don't want to look at the signs that the questions have. So you want to look for the question that is bigger than the other. This 8 is bigger than this 7. So you want to write the sign that the 8 has down, then subtract now. So you are going to subtract. If you see minus and plus, so you are going to subtract. So then subtract 7 from 8. 7 minus 8, 81. So you should get 1m. But for 1m, we don't write 1. Sometimes we will not write plus if it is the beginning term. The beginning, term, we don't write the plus either. 1, we don't write it. We simply write plus m. But if it is at the beginning of the letter or of the expression, we simply write m. So not plus m. But plus m and m are the same. So you need to keep those things in mind. So therefore, but for this one now, you should have minus 15m because the signs are the same. So that's it. So let me clear off everything here. But I'm going to somehow save this. Maybe I should put it backward. So now the answer, it will be minus 15m. And put your minus 15m, put it here. Minus 15m. So now, do you think that this is the answer? Yes, that is the answer. Because you cannot add 16s and 34 together. 16 is a number. It's a term, sorry. It's basically everything here is a term. So 16 is a letter, while 34 is a number. So you cannot add them together. Also, 34 is a number, while minus 15m is a letter. So you cannot add them together either here. What about 16s and minus 15m? Minus 15m and this 16s here are letters, but the letters are not the same letters. So the letters are different from each other. M is different from X. So you cannot add the 16s and minus 15m together either. So therefore, this is the answer for the expression you see here. So that is the answer. So now you have got some knowledge in how to simplify algebraic expressions. Now I would like to test you now. It's a point to look at the screen. You are going to see the work you are going to do. This is the answer here. You're going to see the work you are going to do shortly pop up on the screen. So you're going to see those exercises I'm going to give you. So here are the exercises. So these exercises, if you can do it, yes, you are good in maths. You are slightly good at maths. So if you can do it, then you do it well. They're going to send me the snapshot of what you've done. If you can use video, you can also use just a photo to take the photograph of what you are going to do of the workings. So I'm going to also give you the corrective remarks on the video that I'm going to that I'm going to make for you specifically to explain to you more further if you make a mistake. But if you don't make a mistake, basically you don't really need the video. But if you make a mistake, I'm going to give you the the remark videos to correct you of what mistake you of whatever mistake you make. So that's it. So you need to try these exercises and see if you've understood what I just taught you in this lesson. So thank you very much for for today's lesson. We're going to continue in another series of this lesson. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now hopefully you have understood everything in algebraic simplification. Thank you very much.